I like color work, and in this video I'm going to show you how to change colors in the same row and carry your yarn so that both sides are identical. There's two ways to do the beginning. The first and basic way to do it is you begin the beginning edge like so, where you just do your foundation chain and then begin your color work on the next row. As you work your color work, however, you're going to find that the end of the row is going to alternate and there is no red streak across this side. So the beginning will look different than the ending. You'll need to put an extra little edge on it so that they are solid on both sides. Now, if you begin your row with the second version, you will have color changes right on the edge. And then on the finishing edge, you don't have to do anything to change it. So there's two ways to do it, and I'll show you both. Our practice project makes a great dish rag and a perfect last-minute gift. Okay, we have 29 chains along here. That last chain one is the turning chain for this. And so I'm going to work a single crochet in the second chain from the hook, one in the third chain from the hook, the fourth, and into the fifth. Now, what's interesting about this is where we're going to change color. So I have my second color, which is white, and I only work the first half of that single crochet. I'm bringing my yarn forward and I'm adding my second color by working under and completing the single crochet with the new active color. I'm just going to hold this tail to the back at this point, and I'm going to hold the inactive yarn along the top of the chain, and I'm going to proceed to work a single crochet in each of the next four. 1, 2, 3, and 4. But on the fourth one, I'm changing colors again because my pattern is are checks. So I'm going to have 4 and 4 and with 4 rows. So at this point, I'm going to bring my active color forward, crossing over. I'm giving this a little bit of a tug to take up any slack in the carried yarn and completing that single crochet. And we do that so that this loop falls over the next set of colors. See how neat that change is? Okay, so the inactive color is stretched out over this, and we're going to do 4 more single crochets using our red. 1, which is our active color, 2, 3. So here's number 4, but I'm not going to complete that single crochet. I am going to bring my active color and cross it over my inactive color and pick that up and complete the single crochet, which now makes my white the active color. Stretch out my inactive color along that edge and work over 4 more. And you're going to continue all the way to the end. I'll meet you when we get there. When you get to the last single crochet in the row, your carried yarn is still laying across the top. That's your inactive color. You're going to work your single crochet with that carried yarn in place. Now you need to know if you're going to be continuing this color or changing the color. If you're continuing the same color on the next row, then all you do is complete your single crochet with the active color yarn. Take your inactive yarn, cross it over to the back, and then chain 1 to establish your turning chain. Now, you can turn this either way, but if you turn it counterclockwise, the inactive yarn is laying right across the top of the stitches, just where you want it to be, so that you can continue by working a single crochet in each of the single crochets in that row below, and burying or carrying the yarn at the same time. So that's 2, and I'm just doing my 4, but I'm not completing that 4th one. I'm leaving the 2 loops on the hook. Now I'm bringing my active yarn forward. I'm picking up my inactive yarn, but I'm giving it a little tug. What that does is it straightens out the carried yarn so there's no slack under those stitches, and then we continue and complete that single crochet. This one lays right out across the top, and we continue on in the same fashion. And just like you did before, and have an incomplete single crochet on the edge. Okay? You're going to bring your yarn, your active yarn forward, pick up your inactive yarn, and complete the single crochet on the end. That now makes the white the active yarn. So now, or the active color. So now we're going to take the inactive color and move it from the front to the back over the active yarn and chain 1. Once again, you then turn it counterclockwise, and that positions this yarn right along that edge, and just continue like you did before, but this time you're placing the white over the red, and then work your red over your white. How easy is that? Under the top 2 loops, do you see that? You see how I'm split, I'm under the top 2 loops? Then, under the top 2 loops from the front, then under the top 2 loops from the back, and so you get this really nice little edge that looks the same from both sides. When you're all done with it, this is the ending row, and do you see how neat that is? And here's your foundation chain down here. And so it balances it off quite nicely. So now I'm going to show you how to do the foundation chain and change colors along the edge, so that when you get to the end, you don't have to do anything except end it. When you're changing colors on the foundation chain, you're actually counting loops, not chains. So here's 1, 2, 3, and this loop on the hook is the 4th. So this is time to change the color. Hold the tail up against the already formed chain and chain 1 to attach the yarn. Now take the inactive yarn and move it to the back. Chain 1. Take the inactive yarn and move it to the front over the feeder yarn. Chain. Take this yarn, move it to the back again. It doesn't really matter whether you start with moving to the back or moving to the front, whichever is convenient for the end of yarn, okay? So now we're going to count loops again. 1, 2, 3, 4. This 4th one will become the 4th edge stitch. So here you have 4 red and 4 white. So now we're going to switch to red again. So in this case, we're going to pick up the red and chain 1. Take the inactive, move it to the back. 2. Take the inactive, move it to the front. 3. Move it to the back. Count your loops. 1, 2, 3, 4. And see here we have 1, 2, 3, 4. What that sequence of moving the yarn back and forth does is it carries the yarn across the foundation chain. When you have your last color worked, you're going to bring your alternate color to the front, and the color you're continuing with, you're going to chain 1 more. That puts your 1, 2, 3, 4 along the side and the edge. Now you're going to bring the yarn back over and chain your 1, which is your turning chain. Now, we're going to continue to come back along here, and I'll show you that really quickly. Okay, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4. That's the second chain from the hook. We're going to insert our hook under the top loop of the main color, which is red in this case, and the carrying yarn, and then bring the yarn forward over that hook so that we're going under the loop, front loop, the carried chain from the foundation chain, or the carried strand from the foundation chain, and then the carried strand that we're carrying on this row. Pull up a loop and complete a single crochet. That's our first single crochet in the row. Now, let's look at the next stitch. We're going to go under the upper loop. We're going to also go under the carrying chain of the foundation chain, and that's real obvious right here. So if you can see that white, we're going to go under that, under the upper loop, and of course under the carrying chain of this row. That's 2 single crochets. The third loop, we're going to insert, pick up, and make sure we get the carrying chain of the row below and the carrying chain of this one. This is the only row that you have to worry about carrying twice. The yarn from the row below, okay, there's our thing. There's our chain, our carried yarn from the row below, and the carried yarn from the current row. Now, we're going to be changing color on this one, so I'm only working the first half of the single crochet. You see that? So I have 2 loops on hook. I'm going to bring my yarn forward and pick up my next yarn and complete that single crochet. Now I'm going to stretch my carrying yarn out across the next upper part of this row, and I'm going to insert in the very first stitch, the first loop, and I'm going to make sure I pick up the carrying yarn from the row below, and this is red. Okay, so I have those. There's the carrying yarn from the row below. Here's the loop of the row below, and here's the carrying yarn of the current row, which is the red. And I'm going to pull up and complete a single crochet. I'm going to do that same thing in the next stitch. So I want to make sure I get my upper loop of both and around the carrying chain. There you go. There's 2. Here's 3. And here's 4. Now the fourth one is the last chain or last single crochet in the series, so I'm only going to do half of it. Then I'm going to bring the yarn forward and then complete the single crochet. And so you have this nice little edge coming across. And the colors change with the yarn colors on the foundation. Do you see how that works? So I'm going to continue all the way across.
I hope you enjoyed changing colors and creating the checkerboard 2 ways. The dishcloths make wonderful gifts for the upcoming holidays too. Please take a moment to subscribe and ring the bell for notifications of upcoming videos. Happy crocheting!